Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Satrasat Shri Madhya Swami Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Rasayana Sagar Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Nitya Lila Param Vishnom Shri Madhya Swami Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Braj Bhumi Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Shri Maya Purnavati Dham ki jai. Shri Purushottam Kshetra Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Ganga Devi Munamai ki jai. Shri Mati Tulsi Maharani Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan Yagi ki jai. Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Iskon Vartmana Guru Vrinda ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Sri Gauranga. Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki jai. Hare Krishna. Nice to see all of you. And Giriraj is your main guest of honor tonight. I'm just accompanying him. And we will be reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Just something in pleasure topic, because we had Radhastami recently, and so devotees wanted to hear topic related to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srimati Radharani. So we'll be reading from the Adi Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 8, text 282. Om Gyantamirandasya Ginandana Shakaya Chakshurandilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Dadati Sapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripadevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare. Purusha Bhumte Gana Sada Sadasaka Krishna Bhagavan Vacham Sime. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Tabe hasi tandre prabhu dekhail swarup Rasaraja Mahabhava dui ekarup. Translation purported by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Sri Krishna is the preserver of all pleasure, and Srimati Radharani is the personification of ecstatic love of Godhead. These two forms had combined as one in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus, this being the case, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed his real form to Ramananda Rai. This is described as Radha Bhava Duty Subalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. Lord Sri Krishna was absorbed in the features of Srimati Radharani. This was disclosed to Ramananda Rai when he saw Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. An advanced devotee can understand Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahe Anya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being a combination of Krishna and Radha, is not different from Radha Krishna combined. This is explained by Swarupa Damodar Goswami. Radha Krishna Praya Pranaya Vikriti Hladini Shaktirasvat Ekatmana Vapi Bhuvi Puradeha Vedangatato Chaitanya Kyam Prakatam Adhuna Tadvayam Chaikyam Aptam Radha Bhava Duty Suvalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. Radha Krishna is one. Radha Krishna is Krishna and Krishna's pleasure potency combined. When Krishna exhibits his pleasure potency, he appears to be two, Radha and Krishna. Otherwise, Radha and Krishna are one. This oneness may be perceived by advanced devotees through the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This was the case with Ramananda Rai. One may aspire to attain such a position, but one should not try to imitate the Mahabhagavat. Tabe hasitandre prabhu dekhaila sarup Rasaraja Mahabhava dui ekarup. Lord Sri Krishna is the preserver of all pleasure, and Srimati Radharani is the creation of ecstatic love of Godhead. These two forms had combined as one in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This being the case, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed his real form to Ramananda Rai. So, topmost Krishna's devotee and personification of his pleasure potency, Hladini Shakti, is Srimati Radharani. And Radha and Krishna are coming together in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is Krishna, who assumed the mood and bodily luster of Srimati Radharani, and he comes to deliver everyone by giving everyone Krishna Prema, right? That's why we are glorifying Lord Chaitanya, following in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya. So he is most magnificent because he is freely giving pure love of Krishna, Krishna Prema. And so he appeared in the golden form as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is what we are getting in Kali Yuga if we worship Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is divine love. And we might say, but I don't really feel I have divine love, right? How many of you think that I don't really feel I have divine love? Anyone? Okay. Yeah, to develop divine love, that takes time, because this is the topmost achievement in spiritual life, and Krishna is not giving something so valuable, so cheap for a simple reason, because if we have love for Krishna, we can control even Krishna. You can see how Mother Yashoda is controlling Krishna, right? How Radharani is controlling Krishna, how all the pure devotees are controlling Krishna. So Krishna will not be giving this leverage to anyone and everyone because it's dangerous, right? Srila Prabhupada was saying, what is this nonsense, Mayavadis? What desire to become God? Devotees have no aspiration to become God. They aspire to become higher than God. Because if someone has love of Krishna, then one controls the supreme controller. So, and this is the reason why Krishna is not giving that so cheaply. But how do we understand we are getting Krishna's mercy and divine love? Well, a simple thing is that even though we may not have love for Krishna, but Krishna has love for us, and he comes here because of his compassion for everyone living in this age, right? Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Jividoya Kori. He comes because he feels compassion for all the living entities. And actually, our devotional service and development of love for Krishna is just a reciprocation for his love towards us. And even though we may not feel so much love for Krishna yet, even though we do feel appreciation and attachment, so which is the beginning of love, but we can feel Krishna's love towards us, right? How many of you feel that Krishna loves me? Okay. So how that manifests? Anyone can tell us how Krishna's love manifests towards those who chant Hare Krishna?
Providing opportunities.
Hmm?
Providing opportunities to serve.
Opportunities to serve. Anything else?
Getting an association of devotees is one form.
Yes. Devotee association is definitely manifestation of Krishna's love towards us.
By making the sun rise in the morning and then controlling absolutely everything.
Okay.
By giving difficulty and test for us.
Okay.
By bringing us in connection with our Guru to deliver us.
Giving us Guru to deliver us. Okay. Anything else?
Serving Krishna's devotees.
Serving Krishna's devotees. Mm-hmm.
Krishna makes us chant
Okay.
more.
Yeah. One rather actually two very prominent signs of Krishna's love. Actually, this is a very nice song by Srila Bhakti Thakur, in which he explains that Krishna comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to give everyone divine love because he feels compassion towards everyone, and he comes together with his associates. He descends from the spiritual world and he gives very rare gift of Krishna Prema. Atyanta Durlabha Prema Koribare Dan. And then what is he doing? Shikhaya Sharanagati Bhakatara Pran. And then he is teaching everyone the art of Sharanagati, of the surrender unto him, and this self-surrender is life and soul of the devotees. And so what is Sharanagati consists of? Danyatmani vedam kaprite varam. It's consisting of humility, full surrender, and accepting Krishna as one's master and maintainer. And then accepting Krishna as one's protector. Avashyara Kibe Krishna. And then doing everything what is favorable for devotional service, and avoiding everything which is not favorable for devotional service. So in order to develop Krishna Prema, we need to practice these 6 elements of bhakti. And it's quite easy to accept Krishna as our maintainer and our protector, because he maintains everyone and he protects everyone. Anyone ever experienced Krishna's protection? Okay. Anyone ever experienced Krishna's support, maintenance, that Krishna is providing with results? Yeah. And so this is a clear sign of love, right? For example, if your parents love you, they give you everything you need, right? They give you many gifts, and they protect you from trouble. And so the wife is also experiencing that from the husband, maintenance and protection. So this is how love manifests, and therefore we can very easily see how Krishna loves us, because he maintains us and he protects us, right? So Prabhupada was saying that we have so many devotees in this movement, and many of them, at least full-time devotees, they don't work. They don't do anything to maintain themselves, but Krishna is maintaining, right? And devotees are always experiencing Krishna's protection. And so Krishna is doing so much for us, and so this is his love towards us. And if we appreciate that, naturally we think, okay, should I do something for Krishna as well? So this is divine love, serving Krishna, right? So that's the first step. We appreciate Krishna's love towards us, and we want to serve him. And Srimati Radharani is personified love. So she's engaging us in the service of Krishna. And once we become a little bit more mature, once our love for Krishna matures a little more, then we can also develop our love not just for Krishna, but for Krishna's devotees, right? The beginner devotees, they can only love Krishna, right? They can only appreciate Krishna. They love Krishna in the form of deities, because deity is not saying anything, just standing there and smiling and keeping quiet, right? So it's very easy to love Krishna in the form of deity. But devotees might say something we may not like. So it's much harder to love devotees, right? But this is the symptom of very immature devotee, very unsteady devotee, kanishta, adhikari, right? Kanishta means very immature. But once one develops nishtha, firm faith, then one understands that Krishna is present not only in the deity, but Krishna is present also in the hearts of everyone. And so one starts appreciating devotees also, right? And then from that point onward, one can not only receive love, but also share love, right? Give love. It's very much like children, right? That children, they only receive love, but giving love, they're not mature enough for that. They only expect all attention, all care, all service, everything, right? For themselves. And once it's not there, they start crying and protesting. Why am I not served? Why I'm not in the center of attention? So that's a very immature level. But adults understand, okay, that I'm not meant to be in the center of everyone's attention. Krishna is meant to be in the center of everyone's attention. And so, in the same way, when we mature, when we grow up spiritually, we can understand that, okay, Krishna is giving us a lot of love, but he's actually giving us much more than we need. Right? He's giving us more mercy than we need. And so why he's giving us more? So that we could share with others, especially with devotees. And so mature devotee is the one who can share Krishna's love with other devotees also. Because devotees are very special. It says, Manushanam sahasrishu kashidetati sitaya yatatamapi sitanam kashinmam vetti tatvata. That of many thousands of men, only very few striving for perfection, only very few interested in anything spiritual. And then it says that yatatamapi sidanam, even those who are striving for spiritual perfection, and that's already high level. It's called siddha in Krishna's terms. Kashinma vetti tatvataha. Of all those people, hardly one can actually know me in truth. So devotees are very rare, and we can see that practically. How many people live in Sydney? Anyone knows? 5.5 million. And how many devotees we have in Sydney? 5,000? 5,000. Okay, you can see exact 1 out of 1,000 ratio, right? For 5 million people, only 5,000 devotees. So 1 out of 1,000. So that's very rare, right? And of course, amongst the devotees, there are also different shades and grades, different levels of seriousness of their practice. So we can see that any devotee is very rare soul. And amongst those devotees, those who are serious about Krishna consciousness, they are even more rare, right? And so that's why it's really important to appreciate devotees. Of course, we might think, oh, I am also a devotee, so I should get appreciation. But according to the law of karma, if we want to get, first we need to give. Right? Unless we give, we cannot get. Or we only get what we give, right? And so it's all right to have desire to be appreciated, but it's also important to understand that first we need to appreciate other devotees. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, very interesting thing, Ascharyavat, Kshati Kaschityanam, that the soul is amazing, one of the quality of the soul, that it is amazing. And one who is practicing spiritual life, then one develops spiritual qualities on the soul, right? And then all the amazing qualities are manifesting. And so that's why devotees are very amazing people, right? How many of you agree that devotees are very amazing people? Yes. And so it's important to understand it, and it's also important to discuss it, because that helps us to develop our Krishna consciousness. Yeah, in Sydney there are so many amazing devotees. So many amazing devotees are here tonight also, right? Do you see any amazing devotees here? Anyone wants to say something about some amazing devotee here, except myself? Don't include me. I'm not from Sydney. I'm just visiting. I'm talking about Sydney devotees now.
Everyone is amazing.
Huh?
Everyone is amazing. Everyone has some different qualities
Okay.
which they show during their service.
You want to say about some specific devotee?
Yourself. We have here Janardhan Prabhu's Sarmukhi Mataji. I mean, there are many, everyone. Pretty leading in the community in Sydney, and very inspiring to others as well. And that's inspired us to continue our practice.
Yes, Sharmukhi Mataji, I've noticed she can listen to Krishna Katha eternally, non-stop.
No, not at
And the more she is listening, the more she becomes inspired. This is very rare.
all. No, Maharaj, you're talking about yourself, Maharaj. Not me.
I know myself. I can speak for a long time, but listening, I cannot. I don't have that qualification. Anyone else wants to say this?
Prabhu, the host, Soul Prabhu and his family are very good, Maharaj. They have always hosted the classes like this. So they are quiet, but they are very, very dedicated.
Yes. They have the quality of Krishna of being very attractive, attracting so many devotees in their house. Okay, good. Yes.
I want to say Arvind, who is sitting there, and he does amazing services. He always joins Karnataka Prabhu for Kirtan at Sri Radha Govinda Ashram every Sunday. And he does a lot of marketing, promotional videos, promoting the Temple project. He's so young, he's only 14 years, I guess, but he does a lot of good service.
Hari Bol.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Ashwin Prabhu and Dilakshini Mataji, they have offered their house as an ashram. They are very young devotees and very dedicated.
Haribo.
Chaitanya Prabhu, Prabhu put the second garland. From time I know, like they've been doing flower cut decorations for Radha Gopinath. They're still continuing the service in all the hall programs and everywhere they go. So.
Haribo. Very good. Yes.
Nityanand from Prabhu, from whom I got the first Bhagavad Gita.
So he's your Vartma Pradarshaka Guru. Very good. Anyone else?
Yeah, Richa Mataji also does lots of services. She's very good in singing. She does lots of cooking, and she also promotes the LCD milk, the Ahimsa milk. Very good.
Very
Various
good.
activities.
Singing and cooking, these are the qualities of Radharani, so very special.
Pujari. Mataji does deity worship as well, and she does have her own ashram.
Haribo.
They're behind all the fun. They're like the backbone of Radha Govinda Ashram, and they host the Nitya Bhagavatam Seva lessons. I mean, they Bhagavatam for calls. They regularly recite and motivate everyone to read Bhagavatam every day.
And they're also humbly taking care of all the festivals for the ashram. So they're quietly serving and coordinating.
Haribo.
Arun Prabhu and Kalpana Mataji. Arun Prabhu does all the photographing and all those stuff, and Kalpana Mataji does kitchen service. In every Sunday, she goes to the temple and does the kitchen service, and they're just amazing.
Haribo.
Radhe, who I saw him at Blacktown Station, and yeah, he converted me to this sanstha. And plus, when I went there, Richa Mata, she really, inspired me to do a lot of things for our sanstha. So.
Haribo. Thank you. Yes.
Radhika Prashad Prabhu, he tirelessly distributes Prabhupada's books every single week. And also Nanda Gopal Prabhu, who tirelessly videos all the events by all the Maharajas, like the Ishkan Sydney Yatra for many, many, many years. And also Jitendra Prabhu, who's been hosting so many Maharajas for many, many, many years. So all glories to all of them.
Yes, Jitendra's efficiency is very surprising. Like he's looks like this is the only thing he does in life, right? Communicating and preparing, but he has so many other things he's doing. So
And just on that note,
highly professional.
Jitendra Prabhu also takes a Bhakti Shastri just on the spot. He just completely takes over and just, we are just completely blown away with the teaching he does on the spot. He doesn't have to go through any reading or anything, he just does it.
Haribo. Naturally gifted.
Krishna Priya Mataji, she does book distribution and she's running her Bhakti Shastri and bringing up her children in Krishna consciousness.
Haribo. Okay.
Pallavi Mataji.
Oh, please.
She cooks in kitchen every weekend.
Haribo.
Mr. Prabhu is sitting there. He is having two small babies. In spite of it, he is heading the Pujari department in Radha Govinda Ashram.
Haribo. Very good.
Tilak Prabhu over there inspires the youth of Sydney to practice Bhakti Yoga, and just makes it fun for us all. So he's a great friend. He's a great leader.
Haribo.
I want to nominate all the children over here. They come to Sunday school at Radha Govinda Ashram regularly, and then they learn shlokas, Krishna Katha, and then they do try demonstrate what they learned the same day itself. So Hari Bol to all the kids over there.
Hari Bol. Very good. Thank you for your enthusiasm. And so there is one myth which is very popular in ISKCON circles. And the myth is that you should not say too much about a devotee. Why? Why? Anyone knows? Yes, so that's the myth. Yes, if you say too many things about a devotee, and then he becomes proud. Okay, so this was the experiment we've done right here. Please raise your hands if someone said good things about you now, tonight. Please raise your hands, those who were acknowledged and appreciated. Okay. Of all of you, if you thought while someone was appreciating you, if you had a thought, finally, someone recognized my glory. Please raise your hand if you thought like this. Okay, you see the result. And if you thought, oh no, that they're glorifying me, but they don't know how many things I still have to work on. If you thought like that, please raise your hands. You see, practical result, right? It doesn't make one proud. What it helps, it actually helps devotees to develop genuine humility, right? Because devotees, while being glorified, they think, how can I improve? How can I actually what do you call it? How can I live up to devotees' appreciations and expectations, right? So that might be true if it's a flattery, but if it is genuine appreciation, it just helps everyone to advance, right? And yes, actually, this is sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha means you support and you appreciate each other in Krishna's service. And it helps everyone advance spiritually. How many of you felt that it created very nice devotional atmosphere, appreciating the devotees? Yeah, because if you look at any scripture, right? Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's not just glorifying Krishna, but it's full of glorification of Krishna's devotees, right? Because this is what Krishna consciousness is. Because if Krishna is glorious and devotees are not, what is this? Something must be wrong with the process. Right? So Krishna is glorious and his devotees are also glorious, and Krishna wants his devotees to be glorified. He's interested in his devotees to be glorified even more than he himself wants to be glorified, right? And so if we appreciate the devotees, encourage the devotees, serve the devotees, actually that pleases Krishna much more than when we even serve him. And so that's a very mature understanding. And if we develop that appreciation, if we share Krishna's love with the devotees, how can we share Krishna's love with devotees? Anyone knows? Anyone can help us? Yes.
By giving prasad?
Yes, prasad. Yes, Krishna's love. We can share with devotees.
Cooking prasad.
Yeah, preparing prasad. Yes.
asking crying confidentially.
Yes, very good.
Listening to the devotees when they are in a bad time, when they are going through some tough time.
Yes, listening. If devotees having some difficulty listening to them, yes.
And giving gifts to them and accepting gifts.
Giving gifts, accepting gifts, very good. Yes, this is what Rupa Goswami suggests, developing loving relationships with devotees, yes.
Doing Hari Karta.
Yes, chanting together, glorifying the Lord together. So these are these different ways how we can share Krishna's love, yes.
Helping them organize such programs.
Okay, yes. Helping devotees in their preaching. Very good. And so if you share Krishna's love with devotees, and then devotees become inspired and they share even more love, and then you have so much of that that you want to share with the whole world. And this is how Krishna consciousness is meant to be spread. And this is how Krishna consciousness can be so attractive, right? Because everybody wants to love, everybody wants to be loved, everyone is looking for that, right? Because there is no happiness without love. And real love is only spiritual love, Krishna's love. And so we can understand why Srila Prabhupada was saying that Krishna consciousness is the only solution for all the problems of the world. Very simple thing, because everybody wants to be happy, and no one can be happy without love, and real love is only love for Krishna. So unless we share that with people, their problems will never be solved. They will continue suffering in this world. But in order to share, we need to have, right? That's why Chaitanya Charitamrita also describes, there are so many wonderful verses. Chaitanya Charitamrita is the scripture which is just describing pure love of God, nothing else. And so it's discussed in the beginning in Adi Lila how Panchatattva broke the storehouse of love of God, right, which had so many fruits of divine love. And they distributed those fruits, but what have they done before they started distributing these fruits? Anyone remembers? What did they do before they distributed fruits? Yes, first they enjoyed the fruits themselves and then they distributed. It's like sometimes, devotees, if they distribute prasadam, especially if these are young devotees, it is recommended that first you feed them nicely with prasadam, then let them serve prasadam. Because then they will not have any reservation. They will not think, oh, maybe I should keep something on the side. They will freely give. They will be very magnanimous. Because this is a very natural principle, right? You have a lot and you can distribute without any reservation. And so Panchatattva is also showing that example. They are fully satisfied with love of God, and so they're giving out these fruits of love of God very freely. All right, so we have a few minutes left. And we also have a little surprise for all the devotees at the end. How many of you love surprises? Okay. Okay, but before that, let's see if there are any questions, comments. If anyone wants to say anything on the subject, or it's all crystal clear. Yes.
Many devotees have glorified other old devotees, but like I didn't glorify anyone. How can I improve?
You can glorify someone now. We'll give you a chance.
I'm getting into the where some devotees don't glorify someone, but they hesitate or they feel shy, or could be some other reason. But how can they overcome that, or just keep glorifying it and you will come over it? That's what I was getting into.
Yeah. In order to experience love for Krishna, you need to be in inspiring association with devotees. And so by developing loving relationships with devotees, you can actually feel more inspired in Krishna consciousness. That's why I'm convinced that any types of problems in devotional service, and sometimes problems do happen because we are in the material world. So Prabhupada said, spiritual movement in the material world, impossible proposal. So we're doing something impossible, right? It's like lighting fire within the water or something. You know? It's like completely antagonistic atmosphere. And but by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya, Radha Krishna, we can even do impossible, but sometimes there are difficulties. And so anyone experiencing difficulties in devotional service, the most powerful solution to all these difficulties is serving devotees. How many of you had this experience that no matter what difficulties you have, once you start serving the devotees, then immediately all the difficulties are disappearing. Okay. So that's the solution. That's the best solution. Thank you, Maharaj.
I heard Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami in Vrindavan. He engaged in talk with Digvijay Pandit, and so his Guru Maharaj got quite upset, and he told him that he banned him from Vrindavan. And he told him you should not engage in such things or even glorification. Just do the best service you can, and Lord Krishna will take care of you. Is that?
That was Jiva Goswami. This Pandit, he wanted Rupa and Sanatana Goswami to argue with him, to debate with him, and Rupa and Sanatana, they said, we're not interested in that. And then he said, you have to sign the paper of defeat. And they said, okay, we'll sign the paper, now you go. But Jiva Goswami could not tolerate this, and he said, before you leave, my uncles didn't want to debate with you, but I will debate. And then he defeated him, right? And he took away that paper from him. And so this Digvijay left being very ashamed. But then Rupa Goswami said, why did you do this? Devotees are not interested in these things. I mean, it was the right thing. It's just a pastime, because Jiva Goswami did the right thing. He wanted to protect reputation of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. But Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, because they are humble Vaishnavas, they showed that they have no interest in that reputation. And so, eventually, Jiva Goswami was reinstated in their association, etc. It's just a pastime which helps us to understand what kind of mentality devotees should have.
Thank you for the nice question. Talking about how Panchatattva Luke understood how that Krishna's love, and they planted and gave distributed to everybody. Obviously, representing Krishna and preaching is one of our major focuses. How can we avoid the risk of representing this as an ethnic religion, and what are some of the things that we can do to represent this actually as a science rather than an ethnic religion?
Not present Krishna consciousness as religion, but as spiritual science. Yeah, well, religion is meant to divide people, right? Because religious people, they are very proud of their position of being God's representatives or something like that. And they think they are the best, they are better than others. But Vaishnavas, they are meant to be humble, and we should not think we're better than other people, because the reality is that we're just more fortunate than other people, and therefore we should have a desire to share our fortune with other people. And also, historically, Hinduism is the oldest tradition on earth, right? And Vaishnavism is the origin of Hinduism. It's even more old than Hinduism, right? So this is where Hinduism sprouted from. And so, because we belong to the oldest tradition of the planet, we should be more mature than others, and we should have much broader understanding. That's why the first purpose of ISKCON is there, right? To systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large and educate all people the techniques of spiritual life in order to check the imbalance of values in life and achieve real unity and peace in the world. So it's very broad purpose, very non-denominational. Even the word God not mentioned, what to speak of Krishna, right? Because Srila Prabhupada wanted the whole world to get spiritual benefit, and he made number of statements in regards to religious differences. He said it doesn't matter which religion person is practicing, right? The most important thing that one should practice. And so that's why instead of trying to, thinking that Krishna consciousness is another religion, if it would be, Krishna would not say in the end of Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharmam parityajya mamekam sharanam raja, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. So obviously, Krishna consciousness is above and beyond any religious denominations. That's why Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness is not another sectarian faith, right? In a number of places in his books, he says that. And that's why instead of trying to change people's faith, our task is to make people's faith stronger. And people do appreciate that when you do it. Because if they identify themselves with certain faith and they try to follow it, why should we ruin their faith in their tradition? Because it helps them, this is what they chose, and this is what helps them to advance in their spiritual life. And I see how Srila Prabhupada was doing that, encouraging people to follow their faith. And I see my spiritual master doing the same thing, and I'm also trying to follow in his footsteps. And it's very interesting how people appreciate that. One time I was in Singapore, and we were going to the program, and devotees hired taxi, and I was sitting at the front seat next to the driver, and he had Lord Buddha in front at the dashboard, Lord Buddha, and Lord Buddha had some flower. So obviously, he was not just sitting there for nothing. That driver was worshiping him. And I actually appreciated that. I said, oh, it's very nice that you're actually worshiping Lord Buddha. And he looked at me and he said, are you Buddhist? Because sometimes, some Buddhists, they also wear saffron. And so many times people mistake us for Buddhist monks. And so I said, no, I'm not Buddhist, I'm Hare Krishna monk. And he asked what the difference was. I explained to him. And he said, well, this is very surprising that you're not Buddhist, but you're appreciating Lord Buddha and our spiritual practices. And I told him that because Lord Buddha is also avatar of Krishna. So there is no difference really. And he came to help people to advance spiritually. And it's very nice that you're worshiping Lord Buddha. And he said, wow, this is first time happening to me. Because normally, if I drive any religious people, they tend to be very fanatical. And he said, just recently I was driving some Christians and they were preaching to me all the way. And he said, they are customers, I cannot argue with them, so I just kept quiet. But they came to the conclusion that I agreed with them fully and I accepted Christianity. And at the end of the trip, they told me, very good brother, now you're a Christian. Now you should spread the message further. And they gave me like full stack of their leaflets to distribute. And he said, I know this is religious, this is connected to God. I don't want to disrespect, I don't want to throw it away, but I will not be distributing that also. So I got stuck with those leaflets. I don't know what to do. And I told him, just take those leaflets and place them in some public location. Whoever is interested will take. But, what will happen to those leaflets, leave it up to God to decide. And so you will not disrespect, but you will not distribute either. And he said, oh, this is a very nice suggestion. And then he said, but how can I improve in my spiritual practices? And I told him, according to all the scriptures, the most powerful thing is the name of God. And so if you chant names of Buddha, that will help you to advance and also try to understand spiritual knowledge. So if any Buddhist monk really knows the scriptures and explains it very nicely, so listen to these explanations and try to develop spiritual knowledge. And so when we finished our trip and the devotees wanted to pay, he said, there is no need to pay. I want to give you a donation. This is transcendental taxi. Instead of paying to the driver is paying you. But yes, maybe he didn't become a Hare Krishna devotee, but his appreciation for Krishna consciousness increased, and this really is the best result you can ever strive for. And this is why, Srila Prabhupada and all the mature devotees, they say the same thing, that we should help people to advance spiritually. And actually, he directly says that in many places in his books, that the purpose of Krishna consciousness movement is to help the society to become God conscious, regardless of whatever tradition people practice. Because it's not a problem that people are practicing different traditions. Problem is that when people practice no tradition, or they practice tradition in a wrong way, right, in a fanatical or sentimental way, So, but whoever is practicing any tradition in the right way will advance spiritually and finally will come to Krishna. And so Prabhupada says these are not different traditions, these are different steps on the same path back to Krishna. And so if someone is on a certain level, they will not be able to understand what Krishna consciousness anyway. They're not ready for that, so better you encourage them to practice what they can understand and appreciate. All right. Hare Krishna.
I just had a question, Maharaj. Just on this topic of divine love, in places like Chaitanya Charitamrita, even Bhagavatam, people who have divine love are often spoken about as being in transcendental ecstasy, that tears are flowing from their eyes like rivers and so forth. So for practicing devotees, when they practice, they can feel that they're making some spiritual advancement, they're developing in some way. But these kinds of descriptions often seem quite far-fetched or even just like fantasy, because it just seems like, when could this ever happen to me, to cry rivers out of ecstasy? So what is the correct way to look at that?
Well, it does happen, but it is very rare. And so, but these descriptions are directly related to Lord Chaitanya and his immediate associates, and many of them are directly from the spiritual world, so they don't even have material bodies. So, but yeah, it can happen at some occasions, even with some devotees. I mean, I've seen myself. His Holiness Jayaprada Maharaj. There was one drama. I mean, I've seen actually him told that he is not Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so and at one point he covered his head with each other, drained. Manifestations of ecstasy, and my spiritual master also was telling instances of Srila Prabhupada getting in ecstasy, tears literally streaming down, not just dripping, but like rivers flowing. And so, yeah, it does happen, but it's very rare. And even if devotees feel that kind of ecstasy, try to control it. And Prabhupada mostly controlled it, and there were very few instances when he couldn't do that. All right, Hare Krishna. So, thank you very much. And yeah, if you want a little bit more of divine love, we have Giriraj here. He is the manifestation of Krishna's love to Radharani. And of course, this is the reason why Giriraj is treating all the devotees with love. And Srila Prabhupada, he distributed Krishna's love to the whole world, and because of him coming to Australia and other places, we can practice Krishna consciousness now, because he started that movement. He pushed everyone forward towards Krishna, or back home, back to Godhead, whichever way you see it. And some of the devotees know that we make some effort to contribute to the first purpose of ISKCON, to do what Srila Prabhupada really envisioned, and have training course in Sridham Mayapur for these purposes. We renamed it into IDEAL. It's not yet ideal, but IDEAL stands for Innovative Development to Empower Authentic Leaders. And we're encouraging our devotees to think big. And I spoke with a couple of the students at the course, actually one student and one faculty member, and they were asking for some ideas. So I shared one idea, and this was the biggest idea I had. And I couldn't even believe. I just said, like, this is the idea, but who will do that? And two of them, very qualified devotees, and they said, we will do that. If you support us, we will do that. And I was a little shocked, because idea is really big. I mean, it involves working in partnership with leading governments on the planet and using United Nations system and all this. And they're very qualified. Both of them have masters. One is in comparative religious studies, another one is in management, etc. And I mean, it also involved, they said, we'll do that, but you need to give us some financial support. So I was thinking whether it will work or not, or it will be just waste of Lakshmi. But then I thought, if I'm encouraging the devotees, I should do it also. And we started working on it, and then results started coming. I was very surprised that, even such big things are quite possible. And then suddenly one devotee from America, he approached me, that was in Mayapur, and he said, I have a gift for you. And I said, what is the gift? And he said, it's Srila Prabhupada's personal sweater. He was wearing, it's like sweater with buttons, cardigan. And initially I just couldn't believe it, that it is possible. But then I found some pictures on the internet, Srila Prabhupada wearing that cardigan in very early 69. And I also checked with Shodakirti Prabhu. He said when he started serving Srila Prabhupada in 72, he was wearing this cardigan as well. So all the doubts were removed that this is actually Srila Prabhupada's personal thing. And it was very, very clear that it happened when we started working on this project. So it was Srila Prabhupada's direct gift of reciprocation that we're trying to do what he envisioned. And the best thing is that this cardigan is here now. And even though this is very rare museum piece, obviously it will end up in the museum one day, but this trip is exception, and everyone can come in touch with Srila Prabhupada. We've also brought the photos of Srila Prabhupada wearing it. make sure you can see. And so we'll finish with this. All of you can come get Srila Prabhupada's blessings. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Grace Bhakti Rasayana Sagar Maharaj ki jai.
Sydney Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande.